Wow, look at all these.
Recording in progress.
Hi, Kelly.
Hello, how are you?
I am great.
I am great. It's so nice.
Voice.
It's nice to be here. I've got two people with me here in the conference room. So we got a couple of us here. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil.
Hello.
Hello.
Look at all these smiling faces.
I love it. I'm seeing several good friends pop up.
Hello, Rebecca. How are you?
About something.
Well,
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful.
I've already heard about it. I was like,
Good morning.
I've never done it before, but I see some. I didn't figure out what it was.
Yeah, maybe until we get going, you may mute yourselves, folks, so that there's no Well, Eric, how are you, buddy? Having breakfast?
Little bit of a snack. Need my
Oh, that's
energy
good.
going. Looking forward to this. Pleasure meeting you, Phil.
Great to be here.
I'm not going to take up any time. I'm going to just turn it over to Phil. I'm humbled and certainly appreciative, Phil, for you carving out a little time to chat with us about what you do and the magic that is changing our words to change our world. So I'm just going to leave it to you folks. We are hoping that this is a little bit of an interactive thing. So if you have questions, pop them in the chat or put up your hand and let's just get started.
A flower.
Yeah, okay. I'll try put some rules around that as well, because what I have learned about groups full of real estate pros is it can be like herding cats, can be like trying to ask 4-year-olds to behave that are in 30, 40, 50-year-old bodies. So appreciate you all being here. Appreciate you all ready to rock and roll. And the very nature of this happening is privy to one of our core principles that exists in our world, that is that if you do not ask, you do not get. So Anthony was talking about you folks and the great value that you're bringing to the region and the great value that you're bringing towards your clients right now, and said, hey, how do we take some of the things that I learned when Anthony was with me in New York City and bring that back towards his team? And I said, well, why don't I just jump on with you guys for a little, see what we can do to be able to have an element of a jam session so that we can talk about many of the critical conversations that are being faced in real estate right now, and step away from this with some increased confidence and competence around many of the conversations that matter most. So to make use of our 88 minutes together, I thought what I would do is set up a few rules for starters, so that what we can do is know how to operate in this space in the best possible way. And rules for me are mostly based on how we listen. In this environment, you've obviously always known that you can listen up here with your ears, but not only that is you listen up here with your eyes, right? So it helps me feel less of a crazy person when I can see Eric, I can see Tamara, I can see Renee, I can see Kelly and whoever else is with the tribe there, and Rebecca and Scott. What I would say though is if you have the ability to put the cameras on, I would appreciate it. And I'm going to hit mute on anybody that's giving us a nice background echo there as well. But if you have the ability to do so, it makes me feel less crazy of just being a weird person in my office in New York talking at a webcam, is that I can see your faces. It means when I ask questions, I can see your nod, I can see your smile, I can see your facial expression change. Not only that, though, is in a Zoom environment, something that is remarkably impressive is that everybody gets a front row seat. And it means that you can listen with these things. It means you can listen by typing into the chat. So join the chat throughout the conversation. If you have a question, I'm following it. If you have a comment, an observation that others could benefit from hearing, then add it into the chat here as well. Let's try and have one collective conversation. And what I can do in the chat is I can listen to 12, 15 of yours input at the exact same time, that if it was in a room environment, it would sound like chaos. But here over in the chat is I can follow multiple conversations talking over each other. So let's try and keep it there. And then occasionally I'm going to invite some of you to open up a microphone and maybe provide some insights and context, perhaps even play out some role play scenarios to help us realize just how much better we can get at some of this stuff. Sound fair? Yes or yes? Hey, we got the nodding thing as well. At least some of you did. So there's a principle that exists in our world that is the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. quite often say it from stage. It's said like it's a joke, but it isn't meant to be a joke. It's actually remarkably serious. How many times have you stepped away from a critical conversation and thought shoulda, woulda, coulda? How many times have you left a conversation with a prospect, a client, a friend, a family member, a team member, and thought, who on earth was that idiot? And the person you were talking about was yourself. It can happen a little bit too often, right? A little bit too easy. And the time we have together here today, though, is I really want to focus in on something that I think is imperative. And these are critical conversations. And what is a critical conversation? It is a moment of interaction between other people where success in that one singular moment is over-indexing versus any other moment in communication in your world. So people think that they need to get better at a listing presentation. You probably don't. You probably need to get better at a micro moment within a listing presentation. People think they need to get better at online leads. They probably don't. They probably need to get better at a micro moment that exists within online leads. People think they need to get better at open houses. They probably don't. They need to get better at a micro moment that exists within online leads, within open houses. Micro moments, critical conversations, key individual points are where the skill looks to get sharpened. A mistake that many people make when reading my little book is they think it's about understanding the word choices. It isn't about understanding the word choices. It's about understanding how to read moments and then reach for the right words at the right time in order to be able to meet the moment. Make sense? Yes or yes? So help me just breathe into the chat a second. What are some of the most complex or critical conversations that are happening within your world as a real estate professional right now? What are the moments we want to dig into that we're going to jam around and see what we can get better at? Where are there moments that you've realized that if I get a little bit better there, its compounding effect in my life will be insanely better? Because what I have learned in real estate is second place doesn't pay very well. No silver medals. No one's like, hey, you nearly did it. It's like you either win and you get paid well, or you don't win and better luck next time. So I'm looking for the chat as to what you would see as critical conversations in your world so that we actually have some content to be able to play with or some context to play with. I'm assuming from some body language that people are. So we got people patiently waiting is what Anthony tells us for the market to get better before selling or buying. And by better, they mean either crashing or the interest rates being able to boomerang back down to 2.5%, or all of a sudden, you know, their house is going to be worth what somebody was prepared to pay for it in 2021. So buyers that are uncertain if now is the right time, interest rates defending the value of a realtor. So yeah, I guess that whole why me and why what I'm charging. Price of homes is too high is what Brian is saying here. Initial pricing conversation, list price isn't quite as high as it was. Why to use a realtor to list their homes? This is all surprisingly not unusual. This is unique to your entire industry at this moment in time, therefore not that unique, right? Is what we're dealing with. So let's take this waiting thing. Who's got a lot of people that are waiting around right now that are just trying to time the moment market? So Brian's in that, Mike's in that, most are in that. Brian, just do me a favor, open your microphone up for me for a second.
How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing grand, thank you. So how many peeps do you have that are waiting for the perfect time in this moment, in this market?
I have quite a few of them that are just waiting for either interest rates to go down or they're waiting for the price of homes to go down. They feel that the cost of homes has gone up too much.
Okay. So homes have become too expensive. They're waiting for the price to come down, the interest rate to come down, and they're waiting for Back to the Future to become a real thing.
That's right.
Looking for Michael J. Fox to not just be a movie star, but actually exist. And okay. Let's get the flux capacitor out, right? So, Brian, stay with me for a second. Is the people that are in that position, what do you say to them?
So typically, we've got a unique market where we operate. We're in Central Florida, so we have a lot of people moving into the Central Florida area for their primary homes. So I explained to them that we have a big influx of people coming in. In addition to that, we're a very big vacation rental market. So for those two reasons, our market actually is a strong market. We still sell well. We're selling well at the price point that we're at. And now's a good time to buy.
Okay. So what we end up doing is they give us a fear and we present to them some logical based advice that has them still not feel confident to be able to move forward in the market.
Right. Because they're comparing it to their home markets.
right? Or they're comparing it to what they read in the press, or they're comparing it to the advice that they're getting from their 72-year-old mother, or they're comparing it to the renters that they go to the office with, or they're comparing it to their buddy from the golf course that bought a house in 2021, and they're comparing it to all the inappropriate advice. When is the right time to buy a house?
Now,
When you say that now is the right time, whose interest do you sound like you're talking in?
well, in my interest, but I mean, tomorrow we can't see into the future. So today is a good time to buy. If interest rates are still decent compared to some of the interest rates in the past,
Right.
and the inventory is low, and we still have a lot of buyers looking for good inventory, then if we find the home that they're looking for, now is the best time for them to buy.
Okay. And there's truth in that. However, anytime you're in the position that you're telling to somebody and you're answering their questions, then what you're doing is sounding like you're self-serving.
Right.
This is what creates further friction. I'm seeing this in 90% of the content that I see created by real estate professionals at this moment in time that are telling people that now is the perfect time to buy, that the market's never been better, there's huge amounts of inventory, here's a chance to be able to buy. It sounds like we are everything that the marketplace believes us to be. Pushy, self-serving, in the business of being able to earn a commission and not necessarily right for the person. And I picked on Brian here because I could have picked on anybody. This is what happens all the time when we're trying to create urgency in somebody. We create urgency, which makes them urgently procrastinate, right? That's what ends up happening, is that they urgently spin on the spot. I'm going to introduce a thinking framework that I think might be useful to all of you. Can you guys see that my screen is just split out here? And in any conversation that you're looking to influence anybody, we should look to be able to approach it with nothing more than just 3 critical ingredients. Understanding these ingredients is what's going to change the way that you approach every one of these complex conversations. What we're really looking to be able to do is to start conversations more often from a position of curiosity until we reach a position of empathy. Only once we've reached empathy should we add a dose of courage. These are the 3 ingredients that are required for us to have influence in any conversation. A mistake that many of us make is that we think that we need to be experts and that experts tell people what to do. Experts do not tell people what to do. Experts help people figure out what to do by asking great questions. There are 4 rules that exist in our world. One is that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. So that means pros should get ready for this. 2 is that curiosity is the fuel to great conversations. 3 is that people do things for their reasons and not yours. And 4 is the person who's asking the questions is in control of the conversation. So when we understand those 4 cornerstones of conversational excellence, we can end up being insanely more influential. Here is our goal. If you're looking to give advice, you should never, ever, 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 ever look to deliver any advice to anybody unless you can say these words first, which are the words because of the fact that you said. Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, then for those reasons, what I'd recommend is blank, blank, and blank. Look how much it changes things. And if you could say to somebody, look, because of the fact that you're fearful of the fact that your rent is going to continually spiral upwards, it's imperative that you become a homeowner at some point in time this year. And that at this moment in time that you do have affordability, but you're not sure what's going to happen with your job forecast and tax return potentials in the future. Because of the fact that you've said that, what we'd recommend is that you do look to be able to secure yourself a home at today's current prices, knowing at some point in time in the future that what you can do is that you can refinance, but what you will be able to do is to fix your overhead as a minimum or worst case scenario because of the fact that you said. If you cannot say because of the fact that you said, then you're not delivering advice, you're delivering opinion. And opinions are risky in this business because if somebody doesn't wholeheartedly agree with your whole opinion, then what you create is more friction in an already complex scenario. We're looking to be able to reach a position of certainty. How do we reach a position of certainty? Well, we start curious for long enough. Why is it important that we start curious for long enough? Because we're looking to be able to earn the other person's context. In every conversation you're looking to influence, you are hoping to get them to see something from a different point of view. If you can't get them to see something, well, you cannot get somebody to see something from a different point of view if you don't know where they're at. So let's take the situation that somebody is fearful about buying in this given market. What is key information that we need to be curious about? What must be true if we're going to give them confidence that buying in this market is the right thing to be able to do? And Eric, you're going to play with me on this.
All right, let's play.
So what needs to be true, right? If somebody is going to feel confident about buying or selling in this market, what needs to be true?
That it's, well, I guess something that needs to be true would be that it's something they have to do. Like they're getting a job
Right.
transfer or something happened in their life, or they needed to sell or they purchase into an area.
So some form of significant lifestyle change in some way, shape or form that catalyzes the need for a move, right? There's one thing that needs to be true.
Correct.
What else needs to be true?
That they have the means in order to be able to move. Like if it's a purchase, they have the money, they have the finances,
Yeah.
et cetera, in order to make the purchase.
They currently have some form of means to be able to trigger this transaction in some way. What else needs to be true?
It's got to be a product there for them that they like and fits their needs.
Okay.
If they're making the purchase or move into the area.
There has to be something they feel emotionally connected to that makes sense and feels right towards their move. What else needs to be true? Here's where I'm going to try and get us to is people think success in selling anything is about embellishing the option of yes. Success in selling isn't about embellishing the option of yes. It's about destroying the option of no. So if you're going to get somebody to decide to move forward with confidence in the Central Florida market right now, they definitely need to decide that they don't want to live where they're living. They also have to be committed to the idea that home ownership is a good idea. See, somewhere in amongst all this perfect timing of the market, we forgot the benefit of being able to sell, why own a home. Like any home, why home ownership is a good idea, and actually getting to a position of having a reduced overhead at some point in time in your life at the end of being able to reduce that liability or remove that liability. What else needs to be true is that they have to trust you. What else needs to be true is there needs to be some form of timeline or catalyst that this needs to happen by a certain point. What else needs to be true is that they might not be able to make this decision in the future. What else might need to be true is that this could get worse as opposed to better. And if we can mess around in the gray space that we create in conversation, they can find clarity. If we try and tell somebody that now's the perfect time, they'll find you 1,000 reasons why it might not be. So let's take that we've got somebody looking to give consideration to selling their house, right? And they're looking to be able to time the market for the market to go up. Eric, you find yourself in this situation more than twice?
A couple times.
So they're looking for the market to be able to recover. The majority of these people, are they looking to move up or move down?
Lately, it's been because of a death in the family, the folks I've been working with that are going to sell. So we're dealing with probate and estate issues.
Okay. So what they're looking to be able to do is to try and crystallize this as a cash lump sum into their pocket, the most sum of money on the back of the fact that somebody's personal circumstances have changed, meaning that this has gone from being somebody's home to now a house.
Correct.
Okay. So in this scenario, what am I looking to quiz towards is how long do they want this to take?
More often than not, it's as soon as probate has been cleared by the court. They want it done as soon as possible because they're not living in the area. They don't want to deal with the house. They have their own family to contend with and things along those lines.
Okay. And are these people procrastinating because of market conditions, or are these people just waiting for their administrative circumstances to be able to move on?
Sometimes it's the administration, the court part of it. Other times it's family squabbling, you know, who's going to get this or who's responsible for that type of thing. So it's decision making on the family aspect of it.
Okay. Is the probate scenario the common one we want to talk about, or is it more often on the buy side at this moment in time where somebody's procrastinating on a purchase?
Well, for me in particular, this is just I just happen to have like a dozen people online that are dealing with the probate. Normally it's relocation or wanting to sell a second home or something like that to purchase something else. That's just the now scenario that I'm dealing with.
Okay. So what we're looking for is we're looking to be able to increase context. So here are some simple prefaces that might be useful for you. One is the how important is it question. So how important is it that you get this sold quickly? They're going to say, well, pretty darn important.
Usually, yeah.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like you'd like it sold this afternoon and like 1 being at some point within the next 12 months, how important is it you sell it quickly?
Understood.
I asked the question again, right? And now they're going to say like it's an 8. You can then say things like, well, what do you understand about the different ways in which we could sell this home to result in it selling in a shorter period of time? They're going to say not much. Catch that second preface, right? What do you understand about? You can then say, well, would it help if I walk you through those options? To which they're always going to say yes. And I'm going to say, well, the way I see it is you have 3 options. And I'm going to map out 3 options to them. We could bring this to market right now. We could put a very aggressive low price on this and that we could do 0 work in any way, shape or form and hope that somebody wants to take this on board and flip it and turn it around. And they're the ones that makes the money on it. Alternatively, what we could do is we could give it a quick tidy up. We could perhaps put a price point on the home that is hopeful. Cross our fingers and hope that somebody loves this house as much as your parents once did. But maybe find ourselves needing to wait quite some time. Alternatively, what we could do is get together as a team, look at maybe what some of the high impact changes and upgrades that could be made to the house so we present it in its best possible light, price it at market condition, at fair market rate right now. No, in the current market conditions, we could probably then find 2, 3, 4 people that are looking to be able to move on a home like this. And that's going to command you the best money back in your pocket profit-wise. But it is going to take a little bit more work and require everybody to be on the same side. So out of those 3 options, which one do you think suits you best? See how quickly we can get somebody to make their mind up?
Brilliant. Thank you.
But what we're doing there is we're building a stack of evidence, right? How important? Yeah, really how important? What do you understand about? Would it help if? The way I see it is you get 3 options. The key to us to remember is that our role at this moment in time is not to sell houses. Our role at this moment in time is to help people navigate a complex set of decisions. You know how to sell houses. Helping people navigate complex decisions is winning in today's market. Nobody wants to buy a house. They want to buy a house because. Nobody wants to sell a house. They want to sell a house because. If you can be crystal clear on the because, and that you can become an ally on helping them to reach that because, then things will happen quicker. If you're trying to educate them on the whole of the market or tell them why this house or their house is something, you're missing the key thing in their decision-making moment, which is them feeling like you're for them. If you're for the house, for the market, for yourself, you're going to live in friction all the way through that negotiation. Let's flip this out to the buy side for a second and see how we might need to be strategically curious at the front end. Who's maybe dealing with some procrastinating buyers at this moment in time that are waiting for interest rates to drop, that are waiting for the market to crash in pricing? Who's got some of that going down that wants to just play along? Nobody. No.
I'll play along.
Jenny's going to play?
Yep.
Good to see you, Jenny. I love your background, by the way. Are they flamingos?
Thank you. Yes. Yes.
It's the best. It's the best.
You know, Eric and I got to represent here with our flamingos.
I like it. I like it. So you got buyers that are procrastinating. Let's just have a look at, again, what needs to be true if we're looking to influence those people to be able to take action. So tell me about one of the buyers and what they're procrastinating on and where they're at right now.
They are hesitant because they feel like there's going to be some sort of drastic reduction in price and value on
Okay.
condos. So this is an investor or slash second home, somebody that doesn't have to do anything. They're just sitting on a pile of cash because they
Right.
sold their house last year. And they're like, look, we really do love and miss living in Florida. So we want to come back to Florida. But
Okay.
they feel for whatever reason that it's going to drastically drop in price. So they should wait.
Okay. And they're going to be all cash purchase.
Depending on the price, yes.
Okay. For assumption purposes, we
For
assume.
assumption purposes, yes, all cash.
Okay. And they're waiting for the market to crash. Is that the right thing for them to do?
From their perspective or my perspective?
From
No.
your perspective?
I mean, the market could always crash. Do I think it's going to crash? No.
Okay. I mean, none of us hold crystal balls, right? So that is
That's right.
correct. Also, are they looking for just like a run-of-the-mill market house, or are they looking for an exceptional house?
They're looking for a house in an exceptional location. They can deal with the fact that the house is not ideal, but they want to be within walking distance of the beach.
Okay. And if that house finds itself to market, how likely are they to be the only person that is interested in purchasing that house?
Unlikely.
And how likely is there going to be somebody else that has reasonably deep pockets that may want to live that close to the water?
Very likely that there's probably, 100 people.
So what are the true possibilities of them finding this unicorn market crash, unicorn house presenting itself on the beachfront, that they're the only person that's in a position to be able to purchase at that magic time?
0.
Okay. So are they asking you to help them win the lottery, or are they asking you to help do something that's less problematic, like less likely to happen than that?
They basically are asking for the impossible.
Do they know that?
They do know that. I believe that they do know that. After knowing them and dealing with them through a couple of transactions, he's a very indecisive human. Like he's
Okay.
always looking for validation. He's always looking to see that that's the right choice. And he'll ask his wife, he'll ask me, he'll ask his kids, he'll ask his friends. He is just very insecure on what he should do.
Okay. So let's just get to something that's useful for all of us to understand. When it comes to making decisions, people want to be right. Now, there's never going to be the right time to buy the house, right? The best time is always yesterday or tomorrow. Whatever day they choose to be able to do this, it's always going to have been like, oh, I should have done this a year ago. I should have waited 6 months. I should have done this, I should have waited 3 years.
I should never have sold my condo. Right.
There's always a better time than today.
Right.
That's inevitable. So what we then have to understand is what people really want to feel is they want to feel smart, capable, and good.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want the right time. They want to feel smart, capable, and good. So is this a smart decision to make? Do I feel capable of making this decision? Do I feel good at the end of making this decision? I think us flicking our switch there that says we got to get away from trying to convince people the right time. Because if we're trying to find the right time, we're always going to find the wrong time. Is it a smart time to buy a house? Are they capable of being able to buy that house? Are they going to feel good once they buy that house? Now we're in control of a lot more of these things. What are we actually selling against in this given set of circumstances? We're selling against ego, not the market. We're also selling against what are they doing with their time that is not spending time on the beach? How expensive is that? So this individual that would like to be spending more time in Florida that is not spending more time in Florida, what are they doing right now?
Right now, they're chasing down all these different paths to try to find something that's less expensive than buying in Florida, to then just lead them to the path of, hey, Jenny, we went and looked at the lake property. We didn't like it. We went to do this. We didn't like it. We really want to come back to Florida. So they just look at property everywhere.
How much is their time worth?
They're wasting a lot of time. and
Which
money.
is therefore wasting a lot of money.
Right.
And I think this is the stuff that we're going to try and help people see.
So how do I help them see that?
This is where strategic curiosity helps. So we're going to ask questions like, hey, I was thinking of you today. Is like, how certain are you that you're going to find something that isn't at the beach that's going to be the vacation spot of your dreams? They're going to be like, well, we're probably not going to find it. Okay. So explain to me this, why are you taking weekend after weekend after weekend, going on random trips, looking at properties you know you're not going to buy? Well, I don't know, to be honest. I just, we're trying to find something that maybe doesn't exist. All right, really? Okay. What is it about being by the beach and being here in Florida that makes you think that this is where you want to spend more of your vacation time? Well, I love this, 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 I love this. Is this just for you, or is it for other people too? Well, it's for my family, it's for the kids, it's for the grandkids, it's something I can leave as a legacy, etc. Okay. And how many summers do you have left? Well, I'd never thought of that. So help me understand this, is how important is it to you that at some point in your life that you own a great piece of real estate that is on the water here in Florida? Well, it's like pretty darn important, but like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being it's essential and 1 being it's just a cute idea, how important is it? Well, it's like an 8. It's like pretty darn important. Okay. And I just want to check in, like, can you afford to do this now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can afford to do it. Okay. And if the right property comes up, how likely is it that you're going to be the only person that's bidding on it?
Likely not.
Okay. So how likely is this perfect unicorn property going to present itself as a bargain below market value and something that's going to be dependent upon the market crash?
It most likely won't ever hit the market. It'll sell before it.
Okay. So explain to me why we're waiting on a miracle that we're both pretty certain isn't going to happen.
Because I don't want to buy at the height of the market, Phil.
Okay. And is now the height of the market?
Well, it's higher than it ever has been since I've been in the market.
Okay. And how long have you been in the market?
So we bought our first since 2010.
Okay. And approximately how much money are we talking about as a place on the beach right now?
Probably 700, 750.
Okay. And if that place was in Malibu, Venice, how much would that be by comparison?
Probably 3 times as much.
Okay. What are the taxes in Florida versus California?
A lot lower.
And how many people are we having moved to Florida from California right now that like to live near the beach?
Quite a few.
So the current prices here are significantly below market to dozens of people that would like to buy on the beach that are traveling for a lower cost of living, for a lower set of holding costs, for a more predictable climate, and a better day-to-day lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. I feel pretty silly.
You'd feel pretty silly if this is 1.5 million in 3 years because of all the California buyers that are going to push these prices further and further upwards.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know there are lots of people that are coming to this area that have more money than you right now that want a place on the beach.
That's true. So I should go ahead and buy a place at the beach.
Well, how many homes are there in the neighborhood that you want to live that exist on the beach?
Well, that's just it. I could live anywhere along the panhandle as long as the beach is right.
Okay. And in a given year, how many homes show up that meet the criteria of something you'd be happy to buy?
Well, that's just it. I don't really know. Like when I see it, I'll know.
Okay. But it's not hundreds, right?
No.
You've been looking a while and the perfect house isn't presented. So there's going to be some form of a compromise.
Right.
Which means you need to know that when it shows up, you're ready to be able to move on it. Because when it shows up, somebody else is going to be ready to move on it. And you're going to end up with regret.
So this individual actually called me this past weekend on his way back from Cape Sandblast, telling me that he had intentions of driving there. Like he literally dropped everything on a Friday to drive there to see this house that his friend bought in the neighborhood. Then they were telling me that they didn't buy the house on their way back because it was a D.R. Horton home and some friends had told them that that wasn't good quality construction. So he was calling me to basically have me say, oh, well, that's okay. And I didn't do as sterling of a job as you're doing right now, but I did circle back with all these points going, well, if it had everything, this, that, or whatever. And he was just like, well, thanks for talking to me. Bye.
Mhm.
So like, I feel like there's something else.
There probably is, and you're probably going to struggle to get it from a distance.
Yeah.
What often happens here in these moments is we're waiting for the house to drive the conversation. We're waiting. What I'm inviting us to do is say, can we get further back in the decision making? So we've got them entirely sold on the concept. Now you're looking in this area, in this condition, that under $1 million, that becomes perfect. When that happens, you're going to be ready to go.
Right.
And that you're not looking at anything else. You are looking for something that meets this criteria and you're ready to rock and roll in it. Everything else is out of vision. Diluted focus gets diluted results. And what they're at risk of doing is professionally procrastinating on their vacation home to a point that they actually create a self-fulfilling prophecy of pricing themselves out of the market. That is highly probable at this point in time. Because what you have on the waterfront down there is like fine art, right? It is the originals of the originals. There's no duplicates. So sure, there are replicas and things that are kind of like and could be like, and yes, you can sneak a beach view and like, but there is only so much of this real estate that exists on the planet.
Amen.
And I think this person needs to realize that they are smart if they can be one of the few humans that has a beachfront property in the world. You know, you are in the top 1% of homeowners if you've got a place on the beach as a second home. And this is what I mean. They're smart, they're capable, and they're good. Let's also then look at it and say, well, how long would you see yourself owning this home?
Probably forever if it's the right home, Phil.
That's the goal, right? Forever in their life, but like generational forever.
Right. Well, they just got word that they're having their first grandbaby. So we've been having that conversation about, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you had the place so then you can start, sharing the love of the beach that you have with your grandbaby.
You said, wouldn't it be great? It's a double negative that's having him push it away. Okay. Look at what happens when you say, how long do you see yourself owning this home? When you ask somebody how long they see themselves owning this home, what do they just see themselves doing? Owning the home. They just moved in their head.
Right.
So let's ask questions like how long you see yourself living in this home,
okay,
or having access to a home like this. And then you might want to go to having them justify questions like, so explain to me why you wouldn't do this, why you can still afford it.
That's a good one. Explain.
Just sell me on why you wouldn't.
Why?
Also, could it be possible that you find a cheaper option somewhere else that's fine for now, that then 3 years on from now that you're regretful of, and that you're looking to be able to say, how do you sell it? So that what you can do is buy what you really wanted. When was the last time that you bought a thing that was a compromise on what you wanted, only then realizing that you still needed to buy the thing that you wanted? We've all done that, right? Bought the cheaper laptop and then realized you needed the new one. Bought the cheaper microphone, webcam, then realized you needed the right one, the one that you should have had in the first place. Bought the cheaper purse, cheaper shoes, cheaper car, and then went, should have got the right one first time round.
Stop the cheap.
What I'm asking us to do here is to be playful in the area of saying, I'm just going to be strategically curious, asking meaningful questions to get them to see for themselves that they feel that it's a smart time to move, they're capable of moving, and they're going to feel good once they've done it. If I can stay in a space that gets them to see that, they'll then find confidence. That's all strategic curiosity. Our impatience gets us to a point where we want to move to tell mode. But now's a great time to be able to buy. Here's the statistics, boom, 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 boom. The minute you're in absolute, I'm going to pick holes in the absolute argument. If I'm in the Florida market right now, I'm selling against prices in California, for real. Like, I think there's a gift there in that, right? Is houses on the waterfront in California in the 30s and 40s were cheaper than houses in Florida at the time. That market moved because lots of people moved towards that market, and guess what? It drove the prices up. Look what's happening today. giant movement towards Florida and the coast there because of tax reasons, employment reasons, and stepping away from ulterior political motives. It's happening. The minute that people see that, they're like, oh, dang, I'm smart. I got to kill a house on the beach that would have cost me like 3 times more in California, or would have cost me like 4 times more on South Beach, or whatever it might be. So let's just have that knowledge. But the job is to get them to see it, not to tell it. Michelle, looks like you've got a question here that you want to just bring in.
Hi, Phil. Thank you so much for this today. My Wi-Fi, they're replacing it in my neighborhood, so I apologize for not having my camera on. It keeps freezing. I was working with some buyers last week. They have been sending me information for about a year. They had a baby, so they couldn't travel. Baby 7 months old. They came down. We looked at about 15 properties, higher end, 3 to 4 million. They thought that they loved 2 houses. One was an 8, one was a 9. But I think they're still uncertain as to where they want to be in Palm Beach County. They kind of said, okay, no Broward, that's fine. So Boca Del Rey, they loved it, and then came back and said, you know, it's very busy. And they were also looking at the very north end of Palm Beach County, which is very not busy, kind of a different vibe. So I know they're going to move. That's not the issue, but they don't have to move. They want to get out of Connecticut. They have another place in Ponce. So I'm trying to think of strategically conversations to have with them, because if you said the house was a 9 and Boca is a fantastic city, I'm trying to figure out, other than it's busy, and yes, it's season right now, so it's busier, what else can I get out of them? Because the things
They
we
are
looked at,
nervous.
yes,
They are nervous. That's what's happening here right now is they're making a big set of life changes. They don't want to get it wrong. How old are they?
I would say mid-30s.
Okay. And with or without kids?
No, they have a 7-month-old and 4-year-old in the industry, in the sense of the industry, understands the market and whatnot, very savvy.
So they're fearful of locking themselves into a neighborhood that is going to be at some of the most prevalent years of their life when it comes to being able to shape their kids' future. And they're looking to be able to get some understanding of what their day-to-day could or would look like. And they're fearful of making a mistake, that they lock themselves into a home in a neighborhood that doesn't deliver the dream life that they'd like to provide for their young family. That's what they're fearful of.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How well do you know the neighborhood that they're living in right now in Connecticut?
I don't.
Here's where I would go. Here's where I would go. I would say, look, you got to label this with a fact. Here's a fact: is you've decided that what you want to be able to do is to move out of Connecticut and come towards Florida for a number of reasons. Explain to me again what those reasons are. Well, I want to come for the weather, I want to come for the lifestyle, I want to come for the taxes, whatever it might be, right? Like, let them keep like label that out. So you're definitely moving to Florida. Yeah, we're definitely moving to Florida. Got it. So the challenge seems to be is like not just the right house. We found good houses in a couple of different locations. It's what's the perfect neighborhood for you folks to live out as a family for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They're like, yes. Firstly, ask us, how long do you see yourself living in this next house? Is this a 3-year house, an 8-year house, a 20-year house? Is this a forever house? What are you thinking?
Okay.
So you don't know the answer to that question yet, right?
I know it's not their forever house because we talked about that. As far as number of years, I don't have a number on that.
And it won't be a number of years. It will be a life landmark. So we're looking to get the kids through till middle school, or we are looking to be here until so-and-so's no longer working in that job. That will give us some more freedom about that will allow us to do this, right? There'll be some form of life catalyst mark. And now all of a sudden you're starting to be able to head towards this empathy piece. You're starting to be able to help them make a decision. So now we got a catalyst. So what we're looking for is a house in a neighborhood that's going to get you through to middle school. They're like, yes, that's right. So you know the Connecticut area better than you know the Florida area? And they're like, yes. I'm going to say, well, how did you go about picking the area that you live in Connecticut right now? What 3 things do you like best about it? If there was one thing you could change about it, what would that one thing be? So if you were staying in Connecticut, looking to better move towards your next house, what would you prioritize in an area? Well, therefore, would it help if I could explain the difference between these three areas that you're looking at in Florida in relation to the areas that you know so well in Connecticut? They'd be like, yeah, that would be useful. Now what you do is you create them comparisons with your knowledge of the areas in Florida versus their knowledge of the areas they're more familiar to, and watch them make a commitment towards an area with greater ease in comparison because you've said it's like.
Okay, got it. Love it.
Right.
And I
you
think
could
we're
say
not
Boca
too
is
far
more
away
like
from that.
Greenwich, and this is more like Darien, this is more like
Yes.
Pound Ridge, and this is right. And then they're
Okay.
like, oh, I get it. And I know you're looking for the perfect house in the perfect area, but just like if you were shopping in Connecticut, could you find the perfect house in the perfect area? They're like, no, there is no perfect house and no perfect area. So this is about compromise. Yeah, got it.
Okay, got it.
So you're looking for the 9 out of 10 area and the 8 out of 10 house, or the 9 out of 10 house and the 8 out of 10 area, because we're talking about two versions of good here.
Okay.
But if I was picking, I'd probably pick the house over the area, and as long as the area is solid. Okay, so you're looking at this area and the greatest house. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's shutting the door slowly and realizing that you understand that this isn't about the house. You've all had a little bit too long in the 2020, 2021, early 22 market where it's like, go, 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 house, final mile. Decision-making of people moving into new areas, buying second homes, it's complex. And it's not one decision. There's like 300 micro decisions that sit behind confidence in that decision. If you can show that you understand what lives behind the decision, they'll make the decision you'd like them to make. And you have to call them on the fact that you understand what they're really thinking. They're not really thinking, should I buy the house? They're thinking like, how do I want to live my days? They're thinking like, well, what could go wrong if this goes wrong? Prove that you understand. And when you're strategically curious for long enough, you reach this position of empathy. Why empathy is so important is because there's a button that exists inside the mind of every decision maker on the planet. It's a button that's called the show me that you know me button. The second you trigger the show me that you know me button, it's not you versus them anymore. It's you and them versus it. It's you guys looking to be able to chase a new goal. Take this scenario here. It's not, do I buy in this location or this location? It's how do I help these people live their best life with their new family in a new state, in a new environment? How do I help them deliver more meaningful days? So dig into the questions of like, how do they see a typical week playing out? What are some of the things that they like to be able to enjoy doing? How do they want to be able to spend their weekends? Like, what are the things that they love to be able to do? What are the things that they hate? And now all of a sudden you can help them pick an area. If you say that this is a better area than that, what you're saying is this is a more expensive area than that because more people see this as a more valuable area. Might not be a better area for them.
And would you recommend just having a, phone conversation? I have a good relationship with them.
Yeah.
And just having a phone conversation with them?
I think you have to label it. I think you label it. You say, hey, I know where you're at.
Yeah.
I think you're committed to be able to move to Florida and you've got no idea how to pick a house and how to pick an area because you haven't been here long enough and you're fearful of making a mistake. And like, yes, that's us.
And actually what I said was, first of all, they brought the kids with them and they were wonderful, but that's a lot. And we saw a lot. So I said, a lot of times my clients make a second or third trip just to make sure of what they're doing. So I took it off the table as far as don't worry about today, but here's what, especially with a purchase at that price point, typically it's a 2 or 3 trip scenario and our inventory is still a little low. So I did mention that when speaking with them and also in an email.
Okay. And I think it's not so much don't worry, this is an important decision for you and your family. And getting this decision right is something that you want to give the right level of attention to. Note that what most buyers are fearful of in these current market conditions. Regret. That's what they're fearful of, regret. They're fearful of looking stupid in 3 years' time around a dining table with friends or loved ones. They're fearful of the I told you so comment from their uneducated mother that is going to have that at Thanksgiving every year. I told you not to buy that house statement, right? They're fearful of feeling stupid at some point in time in the future. Go slow with them and help them realize that they're smart, capable, and good. And even if some version of worse that happens, it probably isn't necessarily going to be that bad. There are only like a handful of circumstances that somebody should not move forward with a house purchase today if they're keen to move. One is that they do not believe in the principles of home ownership. Two is they're only going to be there for 12, 18, 24 months. Three is that they are concerned about some impending like life change that's going to affect their affordability, that they could put themselves into some form of upside down, can't meet my payment type set of circumstances. And that's about it. If you can help them find confidence, they want to be there for a while. They can confidently afford their payment. Nothing major is going to change, and that they're sold on the idea of home ownership. Their ability to be able to gain some equity in that home over a period of time by paying down that mortgage is in good shape. Their ability to be in a stronger position to be able to move in the future is that they're in good shape. But go back to the basics of having them sold on the idea of home ownership, is that they're comfortable to be able to live in that life for a period of time. The life they're buying into is a life they're happy to live in for a period of time, and we remove all the risk. The more you can mitigate and remove their risk in the transaction, the more they can grow confidence of being able to act on it today. Just the media has helped people try and think that they have to time this market perfectly, and that, you know, the home is the thing that they're going to make their livelihood out of. They're spending money stupidly right now on credit card repayments and car loans and stupid interest rates on other stuff that they shouldn't be. And they are buying not only depreciating assets everywhere, they're buying instantly depreciating assets in a weekly basis. And now all of a sudden they're fearful about wasting money on a home. You know, they're wasting thousands of dollars every single week and month on dozens of other stuff. Let's try and just help them not feel regretful of their decision. And like, you don't feel regretful of the $850 you spent at Starbucks last month. No ROI on this, right? No exit strategy, you're done. Yeah, we put so much pressure on this perfect house transaction that is supposed to be able to deliver you the perfect financial future. And all of us know that that can't exist. They just want to feel smart. They want to feel capable. They want to feel good. Go slow and help them get to that. Then what you can do is you can ask big, courageous questions, which are questions like, so why would you not do this? And I tell you right now, if you can argue with, you can help somebody find argument as to why they wouldn't, and they realize that they haven't got a good argument, that's what's going to empower people to make bold decisions. So explain to me why you really wouldn't buy this right now. Because even when you play like hypothetical scenarios, like let's just say that the interest rates plummet. If that was true, what else would be true? So interest rates drop to 2.5%. What's that going to mean to the housing market in your neighborhood? Increased quantity of people have a higher level of affordability, which means that the marketplace becomes more competitive. That historically tells us drives prices upwards. So how certain are you that you'd like interest rates to drop? You might like interest rates to drop once you own the house, but you probably don't want interest rates to drop before you buy the house. How certain are you that you want to wait for the market to be able to rise upwards? Because you said to me that what you'd like to do is to buy a bigger house. So if your 800 grand house, you're waiting to be worth 880 for you to then go and buy a $1.2 million house. Well, that $1.2 million house is now 1.45. So great, you waited for your 80 grand rise in equity and it cost you 250 in equity on the house that you're buying. That doesn't sound too smart. Well, you're downsizing right now. I get it. Okay, so you're looking to downsize and you're looking to better pull out the equity. Do you have enough equity in this home right now to allow you to be able to do what you want to do next? Yeah, I do. Remind me again, how long have you been living in this house? Oh, 23 years. Wow. What did you buy it for? 125? And you're selling it for 750? Explain to me why that's not a good idea. Explain to me why, like, you haven't over-delivered upon the promise that you set out to be able to do when you purchased this house. Could it be possible that you wait for a perfect time and your house isn't worth 750, it's worth 650, it's worth 580, it's worth less? I guess it could be. But given that you bought this house knowing you wanted to downsize because you wanted to live out by the beach and you wanted to be mortgage free, and that you can currently do that right now at this moment in time, explain to me why you wouldn't. What would you do if you're at Vegas and you put $1,000 down in chips and that you had 12,000 in front of you? Would you keep playing for more? Or would you take some of your chips off the table? Because if we're making this Vegas rules, we can play very different again. I want you to know what I'm doing. Am I giving any advice? It's all questions. To allow people to be able to see things for themselves. It's moving them in 1 degree shifts to be able to see things from a different point of view. If they believe this and you believe this and you try to fight with people and tell them they're wrong, they'll double down on what they believe is right. Like real quick right now in the chat, if I hold this up, tell me what you see. Right? You here right now, you see a copy of my book. What do I see? I see a pen. Who's right? Right? The answer is we're both right. And we have these conversations day in, day out with our client. Is they're like, it's a book, and you're like, it's a pen, you idiot. And they're like, no, it's a book. And you're like, it's a pen, you moron. Look, I can see it. Look, I mean, it twists and everything. And they're like, no, it's still a book, you idiot. And we're like, what's wrong with you? What we have to do is to ask questions to get people to see things from different points of view. Change the way that they think. So take every conversation, start curious, but stay curious until you reach a position of empathy. I write that out in that model, like the triangle is equilateral. It's not necessarily. You might need to stay in that curiosity space for 90% of the conversation to then have the feeling like the two of you are on the same side towards a common goal, to then be courageous, asking questions like, explain to me why you wouldn't. Hey, can you give me one good reason why this is not a good idea for you right now? And no, not a good idea for you. Not a good idea. Nothing is about the market. Nothing is about the house. It's all about your ability to be able to help any given individual in their entirely unique set of circumstances. That's what makes you worth your fee. If you're a commentator on the market or you know a lot about the house, that's 2% of your fee. It's not your fee. Your fee is earned on your ability to help smart, capable, and good people make smart, capable, and good decisions. When they're 6, 12, 18 months down the lines, regardless of what happens in the market, they're like, I'm good with this. It delivered for me on what I needed. And take Ginny's guy with the beach. I mean, how many holiday seasons is he prepared to forego of not enjoying time where he loves with his loved ones, which is the purpose of having a vacation home? I mean, whatever happens, right? It's probably not going to change the day he dies. So as every summer goes by, that's one summer less. It's not like you can just add another one on the back end. We all have a ticking clock. And I think when something's for lifestyle, you got to sell towards the lifestyle it's costing them from not having this decision. When something's for family togetherness and convenience, sell against that. When something's about a logic side of somebody's brain about the price of the market, compare it to an alternative market that is insanely different in pricing, that experience something like what your markets are experiencing right now, and help prove that we're not interested in what's going to happen with the North American housing market. You have micro markets within markets. And you have micro markets within those micro markets. And almost every house that anybody that you're looking to work with is looking to buy is almost certainly going to have multiple people that are interested in buying that house. Unless it's overpriced and crap, right? Well, they might be able to shop around on that one for some time. And if they're in the market for an overpriced crap house, we might be able to knock them down a little and might be able to find them a bargain on the overpriced crap house. But I'm guessing most of your people are not looking for them. Anthony, what have I not talked about today that would be useful for your group?
I literally just thought that myself. Many of us on this call, our team included, deal with contact forms that come in from our website. leads, having conversations
Yeah.
electronically with people that we do not know, so that open.
So this is inbound inquiry coming from Zillow or a similar
Yes.
source that somebody's like 123 Main Street and I'm interested in chatting in it. And I see Angelo, you're nodding, right? You get that kind of stuff, correct? So Angelo,
I do, and I'm with Anthony. Sorry for interrupting. It's where do you start conversations with these people, right? Oh, I already had 12 realtors call me. I already had, I already looked at this house on Zillow, Realtor Trulia. Like so they're already seeing these properties. We're getting these leads, but we don't know where to start.
okay. And are you in the second home market or is this primary?
Same. Clearwater, St. Pete Beach, gorgeous in homes on the water on the island.
Yeah, I know it. I lived in St. Pete for a little while, so I know your market a touch.
Yeah.
Lead comes in, you pick up the phone. What do you say to them? I mean, no pressure.
Yeah,
You've
just
got
a
dozens of
conversation.
your
So
colleagues
what
in front of you.
prompted you? What's prompting you to want to buy a house in, on the beach or in Clearwater or St. Pete or what's prompting the move or where are you now? What do you like about where you live now? Tell me a little bit more about yourself, your family, your situation.
Okay. And what they then regularly try to do is to get you off of that phone call.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to have a conversation.
Well, it's because you don't have permission to have the conversation.
Ah.
This is what we're missing in almost every one of these circumstances is we haven't booked the date yet. We're trying to ask somebody like how many kids they want to have and what they're looking to be able to do from a marriage point of view. And can you give me your family backstory to see if this crazy house is something I want to get involved in? But we haven't got the permission to be able to go for dinner. We haven't got permission to sit and have a cocktail together. So we're trying to approach this from the back foot. When it comes to approaching almost any cold conversation or any without permission conversation, we're looking to get to permission as quick as possible. So you need a polite opening, a mutually agreeable fact, and then an easy to answer question. So this is somebody who's inquired on 123 Main Street, right? And the likelihood is that they've received multiple calls from real estate agents because they've clicked a few different buttons around here, there, and everywhere. So what do we use? We use the truth as our friend. Your opening is going to be, hi, it's Angelo calling from, right? What is a mutually agreeable fact that can get you on the same page remarkably quickly? What is true to you and true to them?
That the area that I live in is absolutely gorgeous and it's beautiful here today when it's freezing.
They don't know that. You sound like a salesperson.
Okay. Mutually.
Let's just be like crude and honest. What is true to you and true to them? Well, one is that they've inquired about 123 Main Street. That is mutually agreeable, right? You know that and they know that. Like, yeah, I did do that. And you're like, yeah, I know you did, right? That is a mutually agreeable fact. What else is potentially a mutually agreeable fact in this scenario is that they've probably received a handful of phone calls from a number of other people in real estate. You want to differentiate versus those other people, correct?
Correct.
So here's what I'd do is I'd be like, hi, it's Phil calling from ABC Realty. That would be my opening. My mutually agreeable facts in this scenario is you've no doubt heard from a couple of people in the industry up until right now. And I also know that you did have some interest in 123 Main Street. Look what I created with a curiosity gap. Some interest in 123 Main Street. Like, I'm not saying, would you like to view it? Are you ready to be able to go and buy it? Are you in position to make an offer? Are you pre-approved? Tell me about where you live right now. How many kids do you have? I'm none of that. I'm just put a couple of facts out there that are very difficult for them to deny. Now I'm going to deliver an easy to answer question. What's my easy to answer question? Is that the only property you've been interested in? What are they likely to say?
No.
Instead, what happens is everybody else is trying to talk to them about 123 Main Street. All they did is they liked it, like the pictures look good. They clicked the button, they gave their email address because they had 2 glasses of Pinot Noir, right? And they didn't realize the consequences of what they've just done. They're not saying they're ready to make an offer. And I think if we can show up to that conversation with a little more empathy of what we're dealing with, now all of a sudden we get to permission. They go, no, it's not the only property I'm interested in. Okay. So how long have you guys been looking? I'm just humanized. How long have you been looking? What we're looking to do in these calls is to do past, present, and future. You know what every one of your colleagues does? Go straight to future. Well, what is it about that house you love? What do you like about our area? Why are you looking to be able to move to St. Pete? Like, whoa, 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 whoa. These are difficult questions to answer to a stranger. How long have you guys been looking? They're like, I know this one. Well, you know, a little while. We've been floating around online. We've been to the area a couple of times, and you know, we've vacationed there a few times, said that we'd always love to move there. And now that we're working from home, we got a chance to be able to move wherever we like, and we're just trying to see if this is possible or not. All right, okay. Where are you guys living right now? Well, we actually live out in Orlando. We're still in Florida, but we just want to come, you know, up the coast a little, or across to somewhere that is maybe not quite so busy. All right, really cool. So the house at 123 Main Street, were you just looking at it, or did you want to physically go out and see the place? And to be honest, we were just looking online. Okay, cool. And who's your real estate agent? Oh, no, I don't have one right now. No one in particular. Okay. Well, like, how serious are you looking? Are you just looking for fun, or are you looking thinking that this might happen for you at some point in the next 12, 18, 24 months? Oh, no, we're looking like it might happen. Okay. Well, what do you understand about the benefits of working with a professional real estate agent? Well, not much. See, most people think that you only need to engage an agent once you're ready to buy. But what's probably more important to you at this point is that you've got a trusted individual who is boots on the ground that can maybe go look at some things on your behalf, can help provide you some advice, can help deliver you some insights without you needing to pay a penny. Does that sound like it might be useful to you? Well, yeah, I guess that could be helpful. Well, I know you didn't want to go and see 123 Main Street, but what is it about that one that caught your eye? I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. Well, here's what's interesting right now is you know, most good property in the area ends up selling off market. Probably never see it on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com. Comes in different areas. Would it help if I can keep you abreast of anything new that's coming to market? Yeah, it would. And what do you know about like your affordability at these kind of times? Are you already pre-approved, or would it help if you could have a conversation with a local lender, given everything that's changed in the marketplace with interest rates, etc.? I don't know if it would help you if I can maybe give you some insights as to what your true buying power would be in this marketplace. Well, that'd be useful. Well, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do is it just you involved in the home search, or like, is there a partner, spouse, or somebody else too? Oh, no, it's me and my husband. Oh, great. Well, I'm going to set up a little text group for us right now. That means if you see something or we see something, then I'm going to just ping it to you there, and we can just start like a never-ending conversation in that space that will help you on your home search. I got your cell phone number here. You're going to see mine pop up here. Or what's your husband, so I can just add that in too? And then what I'll do is I'm going to connect you to the local lender so that you've got that in play. I'm also going to put together a little bit of a basket of other things that are just worthy of interaction. I'm going to send that across to you. And when you see stuff on Zillow, Trulia, or anywhere else, just screen grab it, snap it, send it to me in the text chat. What I'll do is I'll do some research, some digging around on that. And maybe you can then decide if you ever want me to do a drive-by, capture some photographs, maybe do a FaceTime viewing, showing, etc. We can schedule that. Does that sound helpful to you? They're like, yeah, that's super helpful. Here's what I'm looking to do with online leads. The contract I want signing is that text group. If I can get a text group and I can, call it Tony and Ginny's Home Search 2023, Beach Life with the Joneses, I don't care. Like label it something, stick your emojis in there, turn it into something that every time a text goes off in that text group, they're like, these are my people that are trying to help us achieve one of our life goals. You just became their real estate agent. This is the miss that everybody is making on online leads. They're trying to jump straight towards the appointment. And in most circumstances, that online lead is not ready to go on an appointment. And even if they are ready to go on an appointment, you close them on the appointment to get to the appointment, to then meet them at the appointment with their new real estate agent. Because all we were considering doing was closing on the appointment, knowing that they've probably got bombarded by other people just like you. And this potential buyer sees you as somebody who holds the keys to let somebody into a piece of real estate. They don't see you as a valuable partner in their home search. So what I'm doing with online leads and encouraging anybody else to do is own the relationship at the point of the call. My ultimate close is to open that text group. How likely are they to buy with somebody else if you've got them in that text thread? You've got 2, 3, 4 little things going backwards and forwards over a week. We know that people would rather text than speak on the phone until it gets to a point of decision making. So meet them where they're at. And then teach them how to behave. When they see something out of area and they're like, do you know how many of your potential buyers are screen grabbing and sending Zillow links like late at night towards loved ones? Like it's happening everywhere and you don't see it. Put yourself in that conversation. You have a seat at the table to advise. When they're like, have you seen this one? This one looks like it's so cheap. It looks like a bargain. And, you know, they spend 3 days thinking that they're going to buy it. And you know that it's an absolute knacker next to some form of really weird thing that is falling down and that the photos are more than complimentary. Like, you wouldn't mind like just seeing that come up in the text thread, right? And you're like, hey, look, before you get too excited, is that one's next to the penitentiary, just so you know. And yeah, they drop off outside the front door every day. So if you're into that, you might like it, but yeah, most people are not there. That's why it's 300 grand less than it would be if it was in the area you'd like. Oh, swipe. Angelo, does that help?
Love it. Yeah, thank you very much. You know, the funny thing is I get into those conversations and I've been talking to, you know, and as you know, the sales process is super long. This couple from Brooklyn for 2 years now, and we're still going back. And we do exactly what you said. We're texting constantly back and forth and showings and look what I found and look what I found. And how is this area? So it does lead to that. It's just getting to that is the hard part.
You can get there before you've even been on the first showing. That's where I'm looking to try and get to is polite opening, mutually agreeable fact, easy to answer question.
Love it. Yeah, thank you.
We miss it on repeat. Let's just give another one that's really high impact that can change is who does open homes? Anybody do open homes? Anthony's pointing. You realize your screen might have a different configuration to mine. So where you're pointing, who the heck knows?
I'm pointing at the new guy on our team who's sitting right across from me.
Do I see him or is he like just in your room?
No, okay. Come over and show yourself to Phil real quick there, buddy. There you go.
And Bridget does as well, right? Where's Bridget? She's right here with Kelly. Bridget's with Kelly. And we got Andy's dude here. Let's take Kelly and Bridget here as well. And we're going to talk open homes, right? So
Bridget did it yesterday.
Yes.
So when somebody arrives to an open home, what is the first thing you say to them?
Welcome.
Right?
How can I help you? Feel free to look around. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yep. You realize how helpful that is, right? I just want to give some context. You walk into Nordstrom, you start looking at something in a rack and somebody says, how can I help you? And what do you say back?
Just
No,
looking.
I'm just
looking.
Even though you are desperately in need of a new something within the next 20 minutes, because otherwise you're going to have a disaster at the event that you're going to that evening. You're like, there's a precise purpose as well, yeah, there, but we just brush people off in a retail environment because people asked a stupid question, which was, how can I help? And here we are today in an open house where actually any one of those individuals could be worth tens of thousands of dollars to us.
Phil,
And I know
I'm
what you're
losing you. We're losing your audio. Is it just us?
You losing my audio?
Yeah, we lost some of that.
Some of it.
Some of it.
I think it's just you guys. So from the language I have here, we're hardwired here as well. But the open home scenario, we miss the primary objective, which is to own the relationship with that individual. And how likely is somebody visiting an open home to buy that house?
Not very.
just based on the math of the number of people who come through the home and the number that then come on to offer on that home is slim to none. How likely is that individual to buy a home or to conduct any form of real estate transaction in the next 2 to 3 years?
Highly likely.
Highly likely, right? Yet we have the conversation with them about the one thing that they're highly unlikely to do, even though that we are almost certain that they're possible to do something else. So we say things like, welcome, nice to meet you, take a look around. If there's any questions I can help you with, then please ask. And then when they get to looking around, we chase them out the door saying, don't forget to sign in. And then what we do is we hopefully have the right phone number and the right email address for them. And then we do the one thing with them that they hate, which is we chase them and we follow up and we push them and we ask them questions we could have asked them on the day about the house. Even though they know they don't like the house and you know they don't like the house, this is a giant fat waste of everybody's time because the conversation started in the wrong place. Is what would you like to know about that person at an open house, Bridget? What are you hoping to find out? What is useful to you?
I do ask them, I want to know how long they've been looking.
Okay.
I want to know if they are just looking in this area, or are there other areas that they are interested in? I want to know if this is the size home that they're looking for. And ultimately, if they have an agent.
Okay. And you end up asking them those exact questions. And they're all faced with resistance. They're the right questions to ask, not necessarily phrased in the right way. Starting point at an open home, and if you can deliver just this one change, your life is going to be very, very different. Is first question that I would ask is where have you traveled from to be here today? See how safe that is as a question?
Yes.
Where have you traveled from? And they're like, I know this one. No tough question. And they'll tell you. You learn so much from that answer. You learn if they're a local nosy neighbor. You learn if they're thinking about being able to move to the area. You learn if they live nearby and they're thinking about upsizing or downsizing. Where have they traveled from delivers you the answers to most of the questions that you were looking to ask without asking them. Because they give you the context, because it's a more strategically curious question. Where have you traveled from? So they tell you. Now they're at the house. What do they want to do at the house? They want to see the house. So they're actually not ready to answer many more questions than that one at this period of time. So send them on a treasure hunt. What do I mean by that? Is you obviously want to take a look around the house. Is please be sure though, when you're in the upstairs bedroom, take a look out the view, because you can catch a glimpse of the ocean from up there. It's a distant glimpse, but tell me you saw it. And when you're in the kitchen, open the drawers up, because the quality of cabinetry is just divine in this place. So make sure that you capture those details. So give them two things, right? As a treasure hunt to go find. Now they can't not find those things. Give them two things in the treasure hunt to find. And when you bless release, is say a version of, I'm going to be just down here in the kitchen, is you're probably going to want some space to yourself as you look around. But when you come back by, is please make sure you say goodbye before you leave. And just a reminder again, my name's Brittany. Or if you do have any questions, then, or my name's Bridget. If you do have any questions, then please give me a shout. Give your name again when you bless release. Because if you don't give your name when you bless release, they forgot your name because they were like looking at that cornicing detail and they're being like, did they really choose those light fixtures? They weren't listening when you gave it the first time round. So give it at the end, because what they can now do is they can go like, hey, Bridget, like, do you know if we'd be able to like build up here? But if they can't go, hey, Bridget, and they realize they got to go like, hey, oi, you, like, what's your name again? They won't. So give them the ability to interrupt you again. Then at the end of the open house, as in like when you can see that they've got towards the back end of viewing, don't ask the question that almost everybody asks, which is, what did you think? When you ask, what do you think? They politely give you good news. Yeah, it's like a kind of nice house for somebody, and I love what they've done with the fireplace. You learn nothing. Instead, rephrase the question to, what did you like about it? And they tell you the truth. You know what, it's a nice house for somebody, but it's too small for us. And the amount of work that would need to be done to bring this towards our tastes is just probably more than we're looking to be able to take on at this period of time. And based on the price, I thought we'd be seeing a bigger house for the money. It's funny, right? You say, what do you like about it? They tell you the truth. You say, well, like, what did you think? And they give you false pleasantries.
Okay.
That's just human psychology in terms of the way that these are questioned. What I'm then going to say is, what do you have planned for the rest of the day? They're like, we know this one. What are they going to tell you? Oh, we got a couple more houses to see. Nothing. We're just going to head back home. Oh, we're going to head to the beach. We're going to go for lunch. Doesn't matter what it is, right? They tell you. Once they've told you that, I'm going to ask the most important question that you wanted to get from this. So you right now ask, are you working with an agent, correct? And what do
Yes.
almost all of them say?
Yes.
We walked ourselves right into the answer we didn't want. Instead, friendly ask, so who's your agent? Because if they cannot answer that question on reflex, they ain't got an agent.
Mhm.
Like Ginny Lee, when somebody has somebody say, who's your agent, and wants to be like Ginny Lee. And they're like, oh, I know Ginny. Ginny's amazing, right? Like that's what you want to be able to happen with your clients. But the point is they're going to say, oh, nobody's specific quite often. Now, how long have you been looking? Where are you guys living right now? Boom, 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 boom. Then would it help if? Would it help if I let you know anything new that was coming to the market? Would it help if that what you could do is be introduced to a local lender so you can understand your buying power? Would it help if, right? A conditional, would it help if? When they say yes, you've now got reason to follow up. Great. Well, what I'll do is I'll get working on that maybe early part of next week. What's the best number to contact you on? Pull out your freaking phone. Don't put it on a piece of paper. Hey, tap it in here. I'm just going to text you again. Remember, it's Bridget, right? So they put the number in, you type Bridget. Hey, who else is involved in your home search? Oh, there's my husband too. He couldn't make it today. Oh, what's his number? Hey, should I turn this into a little text group? Kelly Phillips Beach Adventure. Can we call it that? Yeah, we can call it that. That sounds fun. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you a couple of other things that I know you might like into this text thread, maybe early part of next week. And when you see anything else that you might like, or even if you bump into something else at another open home this afternoon, you got a question around it, know that I can represent you in this. So that what you have is somebody that is working for you, you and only you for your home search. So ping your question back in the text message. I'll find out anything you need. Go enjoy your lunch. Peace. Isn't it more real and helpful?
Absolutely.
Like if I could finish an open house with 12 to 15 open text loops, that's a good day's work. Instead, what we do is we find out that everybody's working with an agent and we get a sheet of paper that we're hopeful that the phone numbers and email addresses are correct phone numbers and email addresses and think that was a good idea. Change the stakes of the conversation and watch how much more productive you can be with your time and more helpful you can be with people. The buying process is slower. Try to meet people earlier back in their buying process and own the relationship before they're in that final mile. And to me, anybody who wants to win in real estate over the next 2 years, you need to find people that want to transact in the next 2 to 3 years. Stop just looking for the people that are ready to transact 30, 60, 90. Go find people further back and make sure that you're not in that final mile, my dad's better than your dad squabble, where they're not seeing your value. Because I promise you, is Angela, when you find the people from Brooklyn a house after working with them for 2 years and backwards and forwards, etc., and then you're at the closing table and they see your commission, do you think they're going to be questioning whether you were worth it?
No way. No.
They will be like, finally, you get to pay for dinner after all this work you've done for me. Glad you went the distance, right? It changes.
Bill,
I got 6 minutes left in our time.
Oh,
Go
I have
ahead.
a question follow-up on the open house when you were going through that with Bridget. We have an online system through YLOPO that they register that asks some questions. When is the best time to introduce that? Typically, we want to explain and have that at the beginning with the flow of, I love the what's planned for the rest of the day and then going into it. When is the best time to get them to register or not at all?
After everything else is agreed. What are you going to do with that, right? Is I'm seeing people lead towards automation in this industry and destroy the potential relationship and client that experience that could have existed, because what we did is we called the finish line having them signed up to our online drip campaign for them to be able to receive in personal emails, etc. Is I want to be able to own the human to human relationship. That if all I had was the CRM of my text chat, that would be more important to me than getting them to fill in the online form. So where would I put it in the flow? As far back as possible. I'm not saying don't get it, but I'd have it almost like as an out the door thing, in the same way that like success in a listing appointment should be closed on a handshake with eye contact before you then have some forms that need to be completed just to document what's already been agreed.
Okay.
Like agree to work with them on their home search before you agree to sign them up to your drip campaign. And I think from there, now your drip shows up as valuable. Is we think that getting their name and email address was the success. And then what we are is we're the pest that just keeps showing up in their inbox, sending them properties that they're not interested in from somebody they don't know. So it's not that it's not valuable, it's get the most valuable thing while you're face to face, add it as a sort of yes and. So how would I introduce that? Is I'd probably introduce what I call a Columbo moment. So if you're familiar with the 80s TV series Columbo, sequence of words was just one more thing. Create a just one more thing moment. Oh, just one more thing is we have a really impressive piece of software as part of our brokerage here that will provide you access to boom, 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 boom. Is I got most of your details for it. I'm just missing your email address. Any chance that you can punch that in? And if it's okay with you, based on what you told me today, is I'll answer the other questions on your behalf.
Awesome. Just one more thing. I like that.
And it's a spoken equivalent of PS. Right, is if it was in a written form in an email or a letter, you'd use PS to add something else. Is put it in the PS space, you lose nothing. Get it too early, you sound like that was your victory line. And the worst thing that happens is you succeed. Same with the sign-in sheet. It's like, great, I got the details, therefore that was the victory. And now you've got no reason to chase them other than about the property that they don't want to buy. Because if they did want to buy it, they'd have had a conversation with you about like it at the event. The only reference point we have to be able to chase them up is a house we know they don't want to buy. That's a pest.
Yeah.
Any other quick questions for me in the time we have together today?
I would say, like, on the reverse, what if you've been sending somebody properties for 3 years or 4 years and you send them the, I'm guessing that, this just isn't in the cards for you, kind of a thing. And like, oh, no, I'd love to see what's on the market. Like, keep sending them to me. Is there a quick thing that you can say to circle them back into those more conversations?
I would call them.
Okay.
I would call them and say, look, what's the mutually agreeable fact? We met at the open house back in 2018. And since then, I've been sending you regular properties. You've been opening the emails and you've been showing some interest. Are you still seriously looking to being able to buy something in the area, or is this just entertainment to you? Because it could just be entertainment, right? Like house porn is for real.
Yep.
So, but let them tell you is like, we'd love to buy something some point in time, Jenny, and we like to receive the emails. It's really great for us to see how the market's moving. We're probably not likely to do anything, maybe for another 5 to 10 years. Okay.
Okay.
So it's good for you to keep receiving the emails. Yeah, it's great. Would it be okay if I drop you a call maybe every year or two, just to find out what's changing, see what your timeline is, to see what I can do to help you make this dream a reality? And they'll be like, yeah, sure. Schedule it in your CRM to pick up the phone to them in 18 months' time. See how the timeline's changed. Keep showing up. Instead of it taking 11 years for them to buy the house, see if you can make it happen in 7. Just
Good
a
goal.
prospect for 2031, right?
Thank you.
Pleasure. Hey, Brian, was that a question or just a scratch?
Yeah, I've got one. So I've got a dad. His son's looking to move to the area. The dad won't put me in touch with his son to buy the house. So he's the gatekeeper between me and his son. He constantly is telling me to send him properties, and then he's going to send it off to his son. Now, I've tried to get looped into some sort of a text or an email so I can get feedback from him directly from the son, what he likes and doesn't like about the house. And he just won't do it. What other tactics can I use?
How old's the son?
In his 30s.
What social media platform is he on?
I don't know. I can't find him.
Do you know his name?
I don't know his name even, because it's
That
all
might be a
registered
starting
under his
point,
dad.
right?
Yeah.
That's
So I know
fine.
he's got a wife and 2 kids.
Right? I don't think that would take me more than 30 minutes to find out.
Okay.
Like if my life depended upon finding out this son's name, I think I could probably figure it out.
Okay, so you don't think that that would be too intrusive? Because if I need to find somebody, I'll find somebody. But that's not too intrusive, trying to jump over the dad.
I wouldn't be trying to jump over the dad. I would probably just look to follow that guy on Instagram.
Okay.
And I would then look for him to reach out to you, which he will. If you strategically put content under his nose, like you can not lead a horse to water and make it drink unless you put enough salt in the oats. You watch what happens. If this is real and the son bumps into the agent online and sees you posting content about the neighborhood where he's looking to try and buy, and you see him starting to like your posts, then ping him a note like he's a new prospect. And he's like, oh, you're actually working with my dad. You're like, really? Never knew. How'd that happen? Right? But I think strategically you do something so he connects and reaches out to you.
Okay. That's a good point.
And if not, you might find out that the dad is trying to force the hand of the son on something that isn't what the son's interested in doing. It's highly probable.
And that's my fear, because he's trying to get him to move into a particular neighborhood so that he goes into a particular school that's close to him.
Right. And I think, when was the last time the son was in the area? Where are his friends living locally? Like, don't try and get the conversation. Just try and get the information from the dad that helps you understand how real this is.
Yeah.
When was the last time the son visited? Where are some of his favorite restaurants to be able to go? Where does he like to be able to eat out? What does he do for hobbies and fun? Like go there so that you can help zone in the neighborhoods and almost be a pest to the point that you're asking questions of the dad about the son that the dad doesn't know the answer to, where the dad just gets to like, you might be better to ask him direct. And you're like, I know. That's inside voice. And you can't go around the dad. Go through the dad, help the son find you, and be the kindest pain in the butt to the dad, to the point that you're asking him a series of really useful questions that he doesn't know the answer to.
Thank you.
And you can ask him questions like, so when was the last time that you spoke to your son about moving to the area? Well, I haven't spoken to him about it yet. Okay. So this is something you want to do for him. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, you can work with that if it's true, right? So at the minute, you're just hypothetically trying this on to see what it would look like, that if he was going to come to this area, what it might cost you. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right. Now that we know the truth, you can work with that honesty, right? Just right now, you haven't got enough truth to advise. Thank you all for showing up today. Anthony, thank you for letting me come play with your people for a little. If there's anything I ask you to remember, it is stay curious longer. Think about how you can ask more intelligent strategic questions. Stay curious until you reach a position of empathy, so you can hit the show me that you know me button. So it's you and them versus it. It's never about the house. It's about their because. If you're clear of what their because is, you can become a strategic advisor towards that because. And once you stay in those two places long enough, you can ask big, bold questions that drive people to actions, which is things like explain to me why you wouldn't. Not here's what I think you should do. Because the second you say, here's what I think you should do, what you're projecting is an opinion. And opinions are very dangerous, particularly in this current marketplace, because you have to be 100% right for your opinion to have merit. And unless you are 100% certain, never deliver your opinion. How do you avoid being 100% certain? Stay curious for long enough until you reach a position of empathy and then have the courage to make big, bold asks. Rinse, repeat. It is that easy. it is also that hard. So give yourself the gift of rookie mode to break and unlearn some bad habits and see what you can do to be more helpful to people. And you're in the business of helping people make complex decisions. You're not in the business of selling property. You're in the business of helping people make complex decisions. And these are complex, important decisions. Take that seriously. And I think you'll sell more property by accident.
Phil, thank you very, very much. The next time our paths cross, the first bourbon's on me, my friend.
I love that.
Thank
We
you.
all enjoy bourbon. And I'm with you. You're coming to come hang with us, right? In our certification program in April.
April, yes.
So Anthony going to be with us in New York for 2.5 days going deep on this stuff. So no doubt can bring some of that back to you folks as well past April. And good to see you again there, Jenny, as well.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This has been
Thank
great.
you.
See you soon, folks. Bye-bye.